Well, hello. Welcome back to the channel. Your boy Spark here.
I know why you're here.
Just wanted to talk a little bit about the Xbox 2026 showcase. And overall, it's pretty cool. It was a good presentation. Objectively, there was a lot of cool looking games, a lot of anticipated titles, especially by Xbox fans and faithfuls. And I think for the general gaming community, it was a good presentation with a variety of content. Um, if I was to objectively rate it, it would be something like an 8 out of 10. But for me personally, I wasn't super excited about the presentation because a lot of the marquee titles here, like Gears or Halo, didn't like are not like staples of mine. And Fable, they're not staples of mine. So I'm like, I may or may not play them. I'm not that hyped about them. Um, the titles here that intrigue me are few, but as a digital presentation was really good. But for me personally, I think it wasn't that exciting for me. I would probably say this presentation was probably something along the lines of 8 out of 10 objectively, right? But for me, like when I look at it, I say, okay, Persona 6 is great, but was only a logo. Persona 4 Revival is cool. I gotta get to that at some point. Um, and the other games are like few and far between. Resonance of Plague Tale was pretty cool. That one I'm looking forward to. And the one thing it did show is it did show that Microsoft is going back to the case by cases for their so we'll see how that goes, because it looks like they are, with Asha Sharma now in charge, they are shifting strategies a little bit, and she is going to, I guess, decide what games stay console exclusive or which ones don't. And from this presentation, the key takeaway is that they're going to go back to a case by case basis, depending on the game. It looks like Gears of War, E-Day, and Clock Revolution are going to be console exclusive, and everything else multi-platform. But that may change depending on how things go, which is interesting because I think it does bring some value to the console audience, even though you know they're still releasing on PC. So, I mean, most people who are hardcore gamers will probably play it on PC if they have one. So I don't know how much that does for the console. I don't know how much it does for the business. We'll see. But for now, that's their new strategy. So that's interesting. But for me personally, I was gonna play all the games on PC anyway, so that doesn't change much for me. So that's my real thoughts on the Xbox showcase at a high level. Good showcase, objectively. Personally, not too much that excited me here. A lot of the stuff that was here that was big were already known. There were not a lot of new release, like reveals, except for Persona 6 and maybe one or two other things. And for me personally, I come out of that showcase going, okay, I want to play a Plague Tale. I may want to play Clockwork. I may want to play um some other things here, maybe like Halo. I'll I'll probably play Persona 6 and Persona 4, and that's about it personally. All right. So what I'm gonna do is now I'm gonna dive into the actual stats and metrics of the presentation.
I know why you're here.
So one thing I mean to say is that this recap has got about 5 million views, but the original video is somewhere along the lines of, I think, 3 or 4 million views. I remember this is just a couple of hours after the presentation, so the views will build over time. But so far the views are right in line with what Xbox showcases usually get. So it's some of my favorite thing, the metrics. So it's a little bit unfair with the Xbox Showcase because with the other presentations I didn't get to do the analysis till maybe like a day or two later, so the stats had been fully, buffered, filled out, and you can get a more accurate reading of what all the game presentations are doing in terms of their metrics, the game video views, stuff like that. With the Xbox Showcase, this is the one that I'm able to do on the same day, so the metrics might not be fully there, but at least we can gain some engagement numbers from like peak viewership and things like that when we look through these metrics. So let's dive in. So I think what came out of this presentation with what Asha Sharma is doing there as the new CEO, I think a couple of things, right? Like I said, they are it looks like they're pivoting back to a case by case basis for their first party titles. So that means, hey, some of these games that we think would fit best for our audience and our audience like it, and we want to make sure that they're happy and have something on their console or on the ecosystem that they enjoy, we'll put them there. And then everything else that we think needs to be sell a lot, needs to get a lot of copies sold, make a lot of money and revenue to justify the budget, we'll put that more everywhere. So that's kind of what it looks like for now. So for now, we see um, Gears E-Day and Clockwork Revolution are the two primary console exclusive games for the next 2 years. So they have one Gears E-Day this year, I think comes out in October, and then Clockwork Revolution next year, which is interesting because Clockwork Revolution is more of a new IP, so that might have a tougher time, you know, drawing people in as opposed to Gears E-Day, but we'll see how that goes for them. In terms of everything else, like we said, it's just hey, it's Fable, Halo, State of Decay, that's going everywhere. PC, PlayStation, Xbox. I One thing that surprised me from this presentation was that there wasn't a lot of Switch 2 logos for the multiplats, especially from third-party Japanese publishers like Atlas and Koei Tecmo. You'd think they would have Switch 2 ready available, but looks like that'll be coming down the line, I guess. And as I've mentioned a couple of times in the previous presentations, review analytics reviews I've done, all of them are avoiding that vortex on November 19th. So your game either comes out, you know, before October or in February. That's what the whole industry shifting to. From Microsoft's perspective, hey, here's Doom, here's Halo, here's Plague Tale in August, July, going into Gears in October, and Fable is out in February. Metro is out in February. Persona 5, Persona 4 Revival is out in February. So from the initial metrics, and again, it's not full metrics, it's just what we have as of a couple of hours after the presentation. It looks like there was a peak viewership for 2.36 million, which is not bad. I think that makes it the third highest peak viewed presentation of this week. I think it goes it's Summer Game Fest, PlayStation, and then um, the Xbox Showcase, right? So that's cool, and yeah. Then they went into the Gears deep dive. Personally, after the presentation, I didn't really stick around for the Gears deep dive because, yeah, I'm not that interested in that game, but I'm sure other people did, so that was cool for them. So it looks like, yeah, Gears E-Day was shown. Looks like prequel story, and it's gonna touch on the origins of Marcus and Dom, I guess. And yeah, it's coming out in October. This beta coming. Unreal Engine 5. It looked good for Unreal 5 game, but with Unreal 5 games, they all kind of look similar in that sense. So, not necessarily the biggest fan of UE5 games. Kind of looking similar, but that's where we are right now, right? So that's cool. And yeah, I think we'll see how the adoption goes, right? With it being now an Xbox and PC only. So the game is going to heavily rely on sales from Steam and Xbox and Game Pass. So we'll see how that all goes. Halo campaign evolved. It looks all right. I mean, it looks kind of good. My thing with these Unreal Engine 5 remakes from Microsoft is that I am concerned about the performance because we kind of saw with the Oblivion 4 remaster. I played a little bit of that, but it didn't perform well with UE5 on PC, and I don't know if this is also gonna have the same effect if we're gonna get a similar thing with the performance. So visually it can look nice, but how is it gonna perform, right, when you remake it in their UE5 engine? So I'll wait and see on that one, but that's something interesting. And yes, I mean it has some like not prequel, but it has some chapters, some additional story that's it before the story. And yeah, we'll see how that does when it comes out. Um, yeah, Fable's coming out next year. Looks like it's gonna be cool. It's got apparently Blizzard is gonna help us with cinematics. Um, we will see how that does. I mean, I think it would do okay. Uh, At least if anything, if the Steam wish list is anything go by, it looks like it should do all right on Steam. But we'll see how this goes. This is another one of the multi-platform game releases and coming out in February. And I think, the Microsoft has been going back and forth between these things in the past few years. I think last year they were focusing more on X Plus Play Anywhere instead of Game Pass, right? Because they wanted to push that in preparation for Helix, right? Because Helix is supposed to be a PC stock console. So that's the idea there. So they were pushing with Play Anywhere. This year they kind of pivoted back to just day one Game Pass. It looks like this. Well, I don't know for sure for certain, but it looks like the strategy now is, you know, um, case by case selective timed exclusivity for the console and Game Pass day one. And you know, the one thing that surprised me at this whole showing was that Persona 6 was coming day one to Game Pass, right? Because I thought it would, it's day one multiplat, but I thought it would be like Metaphor for Fantasia, which was day one and everything, but not in Game Pass, right? So that was interesting to see. I guess Sega's happy with the Game Pass money, and they pretty much put every one of their titles in there, so that's good for them. And I hope the finances are making sense for them. But yeah, it looks like so far there's no there's the I was annoyed by this because we had heard Persona 6 was coming. It was just a logo. There was nothing. So I at least wanted to see something, story, in-game visuals, anything. Nothing came out of it. So for me personally, that was kind of a meh review because I'm like, oh, there's nothing, just a logo. Okay, I guess I hope it's coming out next year, but we'll see, right? But yeah, that's a big get with Game Pass especially. So yeah, it's cool. We'll see how it happens with Persona 6. Like I said, I'm kind of like Persona 5 out already because I finished Persona 5, finished the um Strikers, which I really enjoyed, but I was kind of burnt out on Persona 5. So it's good to see Persona 6 is coming, and I'll we'll see because the last two Atlas games that I bought I haven't finished. Like I played through a chunk of Metaphor Fantasia. I played through a little bit of Unicorn Overlord, and I didn't complete those. So I'm kind of like Atlas, Atlas out right now. So that's why Persona 4 Revival, I'm kind of like, I don't know if I'm gonna get it because I have Persona 3 Reload. I haven't even started that game yet. So I'm probably just gonna not do that until I finish some of these Atlas games I have. But Persona 6 is coming. That's exciting. When it comes out, I'll probably get that one and maybe stick with that one to get that one done. So yeah, cool stuff. Yeah. So Microsoft, they've taken out Call of Duty, but they are putting all the other games in Game Pass and bringing some big third-party games, especially the Sega games, into Game Pass and driving the value for their user base. So that's good for them. They did redesign and put out like a new Xbox Series X that kind of looks like the OG Xbox. So I guess that'll be cool for some of the hardcore fans with the 25th anniversary coming. So that's good for them. Yeah, I mean, the Halo campaign evolved surpassed a million views in hours. That's pretty good. Persona 6, 1.7K views in 7 minutes. So looks like, yeah, at least initially, um, immediate engagement is high for some of these games. So we'll have to wait a couple of days, kind of see where it all settles in the pantheon of all the game trailers that were released this summer. But it looks good. Good for them so far. Especially with their big IPs. It's good. And at least if you look at a YouGov buzz score, initial at in February, buzz score for Xbox was really low. But I think after Asha's takeover and some of the moves she's been making, and as the showcase is coming, looks like a lot of the audience are decently satisfied with the way things are going right now. Now they're not like all happy. Some of them are still not happy with the fact that a lot of the Microsoft games are being multiplat, and when they multiplat, they mean mostly on other consoles, right? Not just PC. So there's still that, you know. I'm sure there's things for them to work out. How's the finances going to work for them when they put these games only on Xbox and PC? Is that going to be enough for them, or you know, there's a lot of stuff that they have to figure out. And I think Asha had come out done an interview talking about how they're not in a great place right now, but they're working towards being the number one gaming brand in the world. So yeah, I mean, some work to do there, but at least with some of this metrics, it looks like they're trending in the right direction initially, at least. So right now, I mean, it just looks like Microsoft, I mean, Xbox as a brand right now, as of today, it's it's I'll call it not third party publisher, but they're a large publisher that is on everything, right? Um, I am surprised that they haven't been pushing more for Switch 2. Maybe they're a little bit behind on that, but they're on everything, on every platform right now. They're on PC, of course, Steam, as part of that, PlayStation 5. They've been there for a year or so now, mostly, and Switch 2 is lagging behind and on mobile, right? So they're a big publisher that is no longer just confined to their console. So that's where they are right now, and they're navigating, trying to do that push, right? That multi-platform push and please their hardcore fans who are not too happy about, especially games being put on PlayStation and other console competitive consoles, right? So that's Asha and Madhubudi's job now to figure that out. Um, I don't know how much that would change because I think this strategy they're on kind of makes sense for them. But hey, um, that's I'm not a CEO of Microsoft, right? So they'll figure that out. But overall, I think yeah, the presentation itself objectively was a good presentation. Personally, for me, it was a little bit underwhelming because there wasn't much new there that was really interesting to me. And even the big thing that was Persona 6 was an underwhelming review. And the only takeaway I took from that is that yeah, I mean I'll play some of these games eventually, but there's nothing else like oh my gosh I gotta play it day one, apart from maybe Plague Tale for me personally, and maybe P6. So that's all I have on the um, Xbox 2026 showcase, and that kind of wraps up pretty much the summer of gaming. I didn't really uh, cover the PC gaming show. I watched a little bit of that, but I didn't get to fully digest it. So maybe I'll cover that, or maybe I won't. But I think at a high level, we had good showcases this week. If you look at just the three big ones, the State of Play, Summer Games Fest, and Xbox showcases, I think they were all good. Um, if you ask me to objectively rate them, I would probably say maybe Summer Games Fest is probably the best one. And then you could say, okay, between Xbox and PlayStation, it's up to your preferences. Which one you like, they're probably about the same, or maybe the Xbox one's a little bit ahead. But for me personally, if you ask me what was the standout game of the entire summer, still God of War Laufey. That's still the standout game for me. And then after that, I can get into Stellar Blade Blood Rain and Virtual Fighter Crossroad, TNT, Ronin, um, Final Fantasy Revelation, Plague Tale Resonance, Persona 6. Yeah, so those are my highlights from the entire summer. So from what I can see, looks like a lot of great games are coming, especially from this fall. From now to October, we'll be eating good as gamers, and then there's a drought to January where Strangers in Heaven comes out, and then it begins again. So from a games perspective, we're eating good. From a hardware perspective, it's a little rough right now, but hopefully everybody has got enough hardware to to keep them satiated for the next year or two. And hopefully, with all these games coming out, there is enough breathing room for everybody to be a winner. Because the saddest thing would be with all these quality games coming out all in close proximity, there are a lot of losers and a lot of companies don't hit their expectations. So we'll see how that all shakes out. But yeah, that's pretty much going to be it for my coverage of this summer gaming season. And I'll continue to cover other things. I mean, there's a lot of events coming up this summer. I'm planning to cover. I'm still continuing to cover the NBA Finals, and also, the World Cup is coming up, so I have preview coming up on that. I'm gonna work on that and get that out before the World Cup kicks off this week. And yeah, that's all I have for you. So if you like the video, enjoy the content, hopefully you did. You can like, subscribe, and I will catch you on the next one. And remember, Jesus loves you.